Namaskar friends, this is NJ, your host on this channel. So guys, as you know that the process which I follow for selecting any topic for my YouTube channel, it is always driven by the theme which the transiting planets have created. So right now at a time when I'm recording this video, transiting moon is conjunct with Saturn in the Pisces sign. Now this is a typical combination which for a less evolved person is a combination of feeling anxious, negative, sadness. But for the evolved people, this is also the time of their spiritual ascension as well. So now in this video guys, we will be on the latter side. That means we will try to connect astrology with the Kundalini as well. Now guys, just because over the course of my spiritual journey and my passion for astrology, I've attended different workshops, and over there, different teachers and different classes which I have taken. So everyone has a different way, a different take with all these yoga sutras. So there is no such carved in stone kind of one approach, one way of looking at things. I mean to say, like some people connect like Anahita chakra with the Venus, some people connect Anahita chakra with the moon. So I mean to say, study this discussion with openness, with acceptability. That's what I'm trying to request. And yes, guys, I'm sure that if you take interest in Vedic astrology, even if you do not have any idea about the Kundalini, about the chakras, about the Yoga Sutras, so after this discussion, at least on a beginner level, you will be able to connect the dots. So that is what my whole objective is. So okay, guys, now let's start our discussion. First, after praying to Lord Ganesha. So Om Vakratun Mahakai Suryakoti Samprabha Nirvighnam Kurumadeva Sarvakareshu Sarvada. O Lord Ganesha, who has got a curved elephant trunk, who has got a huge belly, and who has got a brilliance of the billions of the suns, please remove all the obstacles from my path. We will pray to Lord Shiva as well. Om Tat Purushaय विद्महे महादेवाय धीमहि तन्नो रुद्र प्रचोदयात्. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. So now, guys, before we will get and dive deeper into this discussion, now how can you describe Kundalini? So imagine there is a coiled serpent sleeping at the base of your spine. Now this serpent represents your life force, energy, pure potential. Now when you grow spiritually, emotionally or mentally, this energy can wake up and start moving upward through your spine, passing through your seven chakras. Now, as this energy will rise, it will give you more awareness, deep inner peace, powerful intuition, spiritual experiences, or this could be even the moments of the bliss or enlightenment as well. So, in short, Kundalini is your inner spiritual power waiting to rise and connect you to your highest self. Now, all these like seven chakras can be seen as the seven level of consciousness only. Like the way, guys, we say this thing that all the prayers we do, but for certain people, it manifests, and for certain people, they get stuck in the same loop and they're not able to outgrow their current circumstances. So all of that is dependent on that, on what level of consciousness you are reverberating, your cosmic body is reverberating. So that is what is going to be the epicenter of this whole discussion. So okay, guys, now starting with the first slide. So, which is about in Vedic astrology, there is a deeply esoteric connection between the seven chakras, the Kundalini system, the nine planets, Navgrahas, and the nakshatras, the lunar mansion. Now, how Kundalini awakening unfolds astrologically. So, the Kundalini rises when planetary karma pushes the soul to transcend the material plane. Now, usually it follows in this way that Saturn cleanses the karma. Like when people go through the Saturn Sadhisati, Saturn Dasha, or the transit, this is the time when that cleansing happens. I always say this thing, guys. Uh, Whenever like approaching any planetary time period, all what matters is to understand that what is the innate nature of that planet. Saturn in itself is a planet of the responsibility, structure, discipline, and the grief. So now when a client comes to you who is in the influence of the Saturn, and that person is trying to look for a remedy or a takeout or an escape from his hardship. So rather than misleading that person that doing this remedy or in this time period, your problems will go away, try to give him the wisdom and the practical knowledge that through these hardship, what exactly are the lessons which Saturn is trying to teach you. A lot many times people have told me this thing that, Nipun, I went for this pilgrimage. I organized that very big charitable event, and immediate after that a major loss happened to me. So look at it in this way, that it's a blessing that Saturn is cleansing that karma, that something which was meant to bother you for a long span of time and keep on dissipating your energy. Because of the blessing, it happened in one strike, in one go. So this is what the innate nature of the Shani Dev is, or Saturn is. Now after that, Rahu gives the intense desire or chaos. Ketu starts the detachment and the inner turning. Jupiter opens the spiritual wisdom. The sun as Atmakarak finally awakens the personal divine connection. Now, guys, we will briefly look at all the seven chakras. So, first, we will start with the Mooladhara chakra. So, Mooladhara is located at the base of the spine. It is connected with the earth element. That means all the concerns of the stability might be connected with it. The planet which is connected with it is the Mangal, is the planet Mars. Now, again, guys, I want you guys to study it with openness. You will say that some people and in some books it has been written as the Saturn. So I mean to say, I'm just trying to give you an approach, and yeah, it's like what I have studied from my teachers and what resonate more with me. That is what I'm trying to explain you over here. And once you will like complete this discussion, you'll be able to make sense out of it. At least if you know astrology. So, planet Mars, the nakshatras, which strongly resonate with this, the root chakra, are the Bharani, being ruled by the Venus, Kritika, being ruled by the Sun, and Ashwini, because it's the beginning of something. So, Ketu. Now, the themes. Now, this chakra, the Mooladhara, is important for because it represents the survival, it represents the stability in the life, the primal instincts, grounding. Now, again, guys, that is what we say that when I was talking about that in which level of consciousness you are reverberating. So, this is the bottom level, like the way even if you have to compare the human life with the animals, with the nature. So we know this thing that for animals the major prime concern is that half of the time they are looking for the food, or this could be for the sex, for the reproduction. So they are completely being governed by the cycles of the nature. So animals could be connected with the Mooladhara chakra. So I mean to say, now being a human and with that potential to rise, I mean to say, you have lot of the potential. So people who are generally struck in the Mooladhara chakra level of the consciousness only, they are still struck on the survival mode of the life in itself. So the Kundalini blocks of this chakra is fear. Now this fear could be of the survival, this fear could be paying your bills, this fear could be of finding a partner. But yeah, the fear somehow all the time surrounds this native's thought process, inner churning, and the anxiety. Now the remedies we generally recommend for the Mooladhara chakra is strengthening the Mars, Lord Hanuman's worship, the Mangal mantra, the Mooladhara asan, and the grounding practices. Now we know this thing that Mars gives physical strength, survival instincts, and the courage. Now nakshatras like Ashwini, ruled by Ketu, connect to the beginnings of the life force activation. Now, guys, after that comes the Swadhisthana chakra, the sacral chakra. So, for the Swadhisthana chakra, it is located in the lower abdomen. Now, the element connected with it is the water. The planet connected with it is the Venus or the Shukra. Now again guys, over here some books you will find that they connect Jupiter with it, some books connect some other planet. So just like stick with me, be patient with me, you will get to know the sense out of it. So the nakshatras which could be connected with the Swadhisthana chakra are the Rohini. Rohini is connected with the beauty, elegance, vehicles. The second is the Purva Falguni. again being ruled by the Venus. So Rohini is ruled by moon, Purva Falguni is ruled by the Venus, and then comes the Shravan being ruled by the moon. Now the themes represented by this chakra are the sensuality, creativity, emotional intimacy, pleasure, fluidity. Now guys, people who are struck in this, now over here a lot many times you will come across those people who are very much get addicted to things. This could be you are like addicted to the emotional support of a partner, or this could be for any alcohol, this could be sensual gratification. So all those things are generally the flavors or the highlights of the bottom chakras only. So somehow Swadhisthana also hover very close around it. So the Kundalini block of this chakra is guilt and the shame. And the remedies, we say that doing the Venus remedies needs to be prioritized. The Shukra mantra, creative arts, like using creativity as a window for the release of the pent up energies, water rituals, tantra, and we say that the celibacy, like brahmacharya discipline. Now, Venus governs sensual enjoyment, creative energy, emotional bonding. Now, nakshatras like Rohini reflect Venusian creativity and fertility. Now, guys, moving ahead, like moving up in the level of the consciousness. So, now we will reach the Manipura chakra, the solar plexus. So, now we have reached the navel chakra. Now, guys, navel chakra is considered as very important. It's our power to digest the food. The way we say that for certain people, we say that no matter how much corruption they have done, how much bad deeds they have done, still they are rising in their life. They are able to burn all the karmas. So just because their Manipura chakra is very strong, people who are able to like they don't get worried about things, and somehow in their life things happen at the right time without them being very fearful, very anxious, not being in too much of the planning. So all of that happens in the Manipura chakra. Like the way we say that even when we are in the womb of our mother, so from where we breathe, it happens from the navel of the mother. So Manipura chakra is very, very, very important for someone to have that stability and for someone to feel empowered in the life. And like the way I gave that reference, because guys, in modern day and age, no matter how virtuous, how righteous, how principled you are. But life puts you in those circumstances where you are compelled to compromise on the ethics just to survive in this world. So, only if your Manipura chakra is going to be strengthened, you will burn all the karmas. Otherwise, you will get entangled into it. So, guys, the location is naval, element is fire, planet is Surya. Again, take it with open arms. You will say that, hey, Manipura chakra is the Mars, and Mars is not the root chakra. So, again, take it with open arms. All what matters is that whether you are able to understand the gist of this discussion or not. All what matters is that are you able to understand what this chakra represent or not. And by the end of the discussion, guys, you will get a clarity over there. So now the nakshatras, Kritika nakshatra, Uttara Falguni nakshatra, Pushya nakshatra somehow are strongly connected with the energy of this chakra. Now the themes of this chakra is power, will, ambition, personal authority, digestion of the experiences. It's very, very important. Kundalini block, the block of this chakra is, if this chakra is blocked, you will find these people to be very powerless. Like the way people who they don't have any opinion of their own, they very easily get like people who are very gullible, people who are very impressionable. Now being empowered does not mean that you have that muscles to fight someone. It's just like that you are very rooted in your opinions, in your belief system. And only if this like chakra is going to be somehow disrupted, you will find that these people easily get swayed away by anyone's opinion, anyone's influence. Now the remedies for this chakra, guys, is Surya Namaskar, Sun Mantras, solar deity worship, and the career alignment. Now Sun gives self-esteem, leadership, and personal power. Kritika Nakshatra carries strong Agni, fire, symbolism directly tied to the Manipura chakra. Now, guys, when we talk about the Anahita chakra, heart chakra, so it is located in the center of the chest. Now, this is a very, very important like chakra or level of consciousness. The way we say that, see, guys, it's a very simple thumb rule. Those who are reverberating on the lower chakra will get dominated by by someone who is reverberating on the higher chakra. So that means fear will be overpowered, like someone who is in the chakra of the fear will easily be controlled by someone who is reverberating on the level of the love or of the compassion. That is the only reason, guys, like some people, and especially in the case of the females who have that very worrisome nature, and the minute they go to any ashram, the minute they go to any guru, and they feel very relieved. Now the guru hasn't done anything. It's just like that guru is either sitting on the Anahita chakra or on the Ajna chakra, on the Sahasrar chakra, that it automatically uplifts the energy of someone who is reverberating on a very lower chakra. So it's all a pull and push of the energies on the level of the consciousness. So, guys, so yeah, the center of the chest is its location of the Anahita chakra. It's happening on a very subtle level on your cosmic body. Now its element is air. The planet connected with the Anahita chakra is the moon or the Chandra. Again, some people will say Venus, but stick with me. The nakshatras are the Adra, ruled by the Rahu, Punarvasu, ruled by the Jupiter, and the Rohini being ruled by the moon, which can be connected with the attributes of this chakra. So again, guys, see, the thing is, if you have idea about the functioning or the characteristics of these nakshatras, so you will be able to connect the features of this chakra as well. Now its theme is, it represents love, it represents compassion, emotional security, and the devotion. Like people, especially the Lord Krishna devotees, people who are like within India, they are in the Vrindavan and they are singing and they are dancing for the Lord Krishna in the bhakti ras. All of that is, they all reverberate on the Anahita chakra. So, if this chakra is going to be blocked, so the concern is going to be of the grief and the isolation. What could be the recommended remedies? So, Chandra mantra, moon bathing, like taking a bath, like the way we say when the moon is full, and also all the full moon remedies and all. Gratitude practice, bhakti yoga I mentioned. So, moon governs emotions, nurturing, and the care. Punarvasu, ruled by Jupiter, reflects restoring balance after emotional storm. Now, when we talk about the Vishuddhi or Vishuddha chakra, the throat chakra, so it is located in the throat. A lot many people who are like very um, influential public speaker are generally seen that they somehow reverberate, or their energies and the consciousness is reverberating on the throat chakra in itself. So its location is the throat, its element is the ether. The planet connected with this chakra is Mercury. Now nakshatras which are very strongly connected with it are the Revati, Jyeshtha, and the Hasta. The themes connected by the Vishuddhi or the throat chakra are communication, expression, creativity, truth, intellect. What could be the case if this chakra is going to be blocked, or the Kundalini energy, the serpentine energy is going to be blocked over here? So, this might give or manifest lies and suppression. What could be the remedies? So, the Mercury mantras, communication healing, like the way we say, taking any therapy, any counseling session, writing, journaling, chanting, and singing. Now Mercury governs communication, learning, and the speech. Nakshatras like Revati also relate to guidance and expression of the wisdom. Now guys, comes the Ajna chakra. So its location is the forehead, element is light, the mind, planet connected with it is the Jupiter. Nakshatras, which strongly reverberate the qualities of this like chakra, are the Pur Bhadrapada, being ruled by the Jupiter, Punarvasu being ruled by the Jupiter again, and the Vishakha. So all the three nakshatras ruled by the Jupiter in itself. The themes, if someone who reverberates on this level of the consciousness, so it manifests through intuition, higher wisdom, spiritual vision, inner guidance. So I mean to say, guys, people who end up becoming like a spiritual guide, a seer, a saint, cleverance. So, power of cleverance strongly is connected with the Ajna chakra, with the third eye. So, if you will find this chakra to be blocked, the energy is blocked in this chakra, it will like lead towards like someone who has got very confused nature, someone who has got a very doubting kind of nature. And generally I say this thing that people who become a victim of the circumstances, like with certain people, they take the chances and life works out well. And for certain people, whenever they try to experiment with something, it always backfire. So that might be the case that the kundalini is blocked, or the energy of this chakra is blocked. So the remedies could be the Jupiter remedies, guru worship, meditation is very, very, very important. So mantra japa and the pranayam. Now Jupiter governs divine wisdom, higher knowledge, expansion of the awareness. Now nakshatras like Pur Bhadrapada deal with the mystical knowledge, esoteric truths. And finally, guys, we have reached the top, which is the Sahasrara chakra. The location of this chakra is the top of the head. Its element is pure consciousness. The planet connected with it is the nodal axis, the Rahu and the Ketu. Ketu is connected with the moksha. Nakshatras like Ashwini, Mula, and Magha, all the nakshatras of the Ketu, are themes. So this chakra represents liberation, enlightenment, cosmic unity, transcendence. And if you will find this chakra to be blocked, it can like create the energy of someone who's going to be, or someone who's going to have a lot of the ego attachment. Now remedies could be the Ketu mantra, detachment practice, silence, surrender, and the samadhi. Now Ketu represents detachment, liberation, dissolution of ego. Nakshatras like Mula represent the root of existence and dissolution into the void. Now guys, comes the question that when we talk about certain planetary yogas which can give you an edge, that your cosmic churning can be done in a very speed up way. Now this could be a case that you have that alignment in your birth chart, and when it is going to be getting activated because of the transit or because of the activation of the dasha, then this will come into the existence. Like the way a lot many times happens, people who goes on a pilgrimage, suddenly something happened, you have had that epiphany, that sort of awakening, and now you are very intuitive. Or with certain people, they go on a pilgrimage, suddenly something happened, now they renounce their material life and they take up the path of the spirituality. So all of that is like generally happen. It could happen with these kind of like combinations which you will find in this slide. Now automatically, guys, and obviously, all what matters is that the right dasha to activate it. Otherwise you might have that potential, but it might be lying dormant. So whatever promise with which you are born, you need a right dasha to activate that. And these are some of the combinations which are very potent for the activation of the Kundalini. So the very first is that Rahu and Ketu axis. If you will find this axis across the first and the seventh, or the fifth and the 11th houses. Now again, guys, like I have a Rahu in the first house. Like a lot of the things which I mentioned over here is getting applicable in my case. But again, like I have come across, I have like read and heard a lot of the negative things about that. If Rahu is going to be there in the first house, it is not considered as good for the health. People have to go through a lot of the accusation, allegation. But again, this is what the beauty of these planets is. Like if you would have paid attention for any of these spiritual elevation, the malefic planets are playing a very powerful role, and malefic planets have their own way of giving you clarity. You might be doing something good if your Venus is strong or your Mercury is strong in the material realm, but what these malefic planets give you, it gives you something which is going to be transcendental, which will stick with you in many next lifetimes as well. What you will get from the Mercury, what you will make in the material world, will nurture you in this lifetime. But what about what will go with you with your soul? So that is something which these nodal axes have the power to grant, to bestow. So Rahu Ketu axis across the first and the seventh. First house is you, self. Seventh house is the world. You're dealing with the world. Fifth house is the house of the Pur Punya, mantra, our mind. And the 11th house is the house of the collective. 11th house is actually the house of the wish fulfillment, of the progress. So the byproduct of this excess, and if it gets activated in the dasha, so extreme karmic lessons leading to Kundalini initiation. The second combination is, which is considered as very potent, very powerful, Jupiter and Ketu conjunction or aspect. Now, what is going to be the byproduct of that, outcome of that? Spiritual wisdom and detachment. Again, guys, I keep on coming across lot many charts where people have this combination. Jupiter Ketu in itself is a blessing. It's just like that, it is there coming in your life from the past. So all what matters is the right dasha, which will give you that awareness to work in that direction, and then that's how you will grow. Moon plus Ketu conjunction. So in the fourth house, fifth house, eighth house, or the 12th house. Now again, guys, if you will pay attention, if you will just listen to the traditional books of Vedic astrology, Moon Ketu conjunction in these houses is a typical combination of the paranoia, of the anxiety, of the depression, of the suicidal thoughts. But again, if channelized well, it can actually suddenly awaken those hidden talents of intuition, cleverance, healing, and all. So, sudden awakening tendencies. Now, those who have Saturn and the Ketu association. So, guys, this is like the byproduct of this Saturn Ketu association is harsh lessons clearing the karmic debts, and the Lagna Lord exalted along with a fifth Lord is strong. So that also is seen as strong control over mind and the prana, which is very much required for the activation of the Kundalini. Like the way, guys, like if you will like read about the Kundalini, you will get to know that in case of certain people who like they initiated that, and after that the surge of energy was so high that it made some people sexually pervert after that, or it made certain people like a lush addicted to certain things. So just like that, you were not prepared well to handle that surge of energy. That is the only reason we say that the Kundalini activation needs to be done. Kundalini activation needs to be done under the guidance of a guru. Now, guys, I will distract from the topic with a small story, and then we will continue our discussion. So how much is important, when that surge of energy happens in your life? So I will give you a very short instance of this. So what happens? We all know that Lord Hanuman, he's the Rudra avatar. How powerful Lord Hanuman is, and there is a story. There is a story like the way we used to say that Bali, one of the simian, the ape king. So he was also very powerful, and he had have got this blessing that whenever he will enter into a battlefield with an opponent, so a portion of the energy of his opponent will enter in his body, and which used to make him more empowered. So what happens once he was like, and he got that power because of he did a penance, he did a bhakti of the Lord Brahma, and who granted him that power. So once what happened, just because after finishing his penance, tapasya, and getting that boon from the Brahma in itself, he was just creating a ruckus in the forest, because now he cannot handle that energy, right? Breaking the trees and punching the animals and doing all that chaos in the forest. And he was just passing by, and he saw Lord Hanuman sitting over there meditating in the name of the Lord Rama. So to which he first started to provoke Lord Hanuman to get into fight with him, because obviously Lord Hanuman's courage and valor is widespread. So Lord Hanuman did not pay any heed to it. So afterwards, the Bali, he crossed the limit. He even said something very nasty about the East Devata of the Lord Hanuman as well. That Hanuman, you are coward, you are fearful of me, and not only you, you are the God whom you worship, the name which you worship, Lord Ram. Lord Ram is also coward. If Lord Ram will come in front of me, I will defeat him as well. Now, this was too much for Lord Hanuman to handle. Like he, in a way, insulted his East Devata. To which then Lord Hanuman agreed that, okay, when you want to fight with me, he says, okay, let's meet tomorrow at this time in a ring, and then we will fight. And he then just passed away. Now, after that, like suddenly, in the heaven, in the Devlokas, Brahmdev got worried because he knew this thing, that the way it has been written in the fate, encrypted in the destiny, that Bali has to be killed by the Lord Ram. And everyone knew this thing, that Lord Hanuman is a reservoir of energy. And if the flow of the energy will go in the Bali, he will die right then and there. So they like Lord Brahma appear in front of Lord Hanuman, and he says that, Lord Hanuman, please don't go tomorrow to fight with Bali. To which Lord Hanuman says that, no, I gave my word, I cannot now back out of this. So then Lord Brahma, because he knew this thing, he says that, okay, if you will go there, at least take the 5% of your energy, because during that time all the devatas and the gods, they can easily manage that energy. They have had that power, that celestial beings in that loka, in that era. So to which Lord Brahma says that, don't take 100% of your energy, just take 5% of it, and leave the rest in the feet of your Lord Ram. Lord Hanuman does that. The scheduled time of the fight in the ring comes. The minute Lord Hanuman enters the ring, suddenly what happens, because obviously, like, because Bali has got this boon from the Brahma, that the moment any opponent will enter the ring in front of him, a portion of the energy of that opponent will enter in his body. And the minute Lord Hanuman came in front of the Bali in that ring, suddenly his veins started to burst out. The flow of energy started happening so fast that Bali starts screaming, his veins and his body start bursting. And then suddenly, we say that term in Hindi, Akashwani. That announcement happened from the clouds, that Bali, if you want to save your life, run away from Lord Hanuman in the opposite direction. And then he started running, and he does not know what's happening with me. Then to which, like later on, like Lord Brahma only told him this thing, that, stupid, the person you were challenging is Hanuman. He's the reservoir of energy. Imagine, on that day of the fight, he entered with 5% of that energy, and a portion of that entered in your body, and you were about to die. Had he entered the ring with the 100% of his concentrated energy, you would have burst out immediate then and there. So this becomes very important, guys, in terms of the Kundalini, because if not um, initiated, not handled with care, under the guidance of a teacher, under the guidance of a guru. So, after the Kundalini activation, it can drive towards overindulgence in sex, overindulgence in drugs, and picking up fights. So, that is the only reason a proper guidance and mentorship is needed for it. Now, guys, the one of the other combination, potent combination, so which is about multiple planets in the 12th house. So again, guys, you would be understanding this thing, that why people who are like very spiritually aligned, their first half of the life is filled with lot of the pain, lot of the worries, and lot of the chaotic events. So just because the planets and the houses which are a blessing for spirituality in a material world, these are the houses of suffering. So, yes, multiple planets in the 12th house, especially Moon, Jupiter, Ketu, Venus. So, it represents the dissolution of the ego and the spiritual longing. The powerful 8th house. 8th house is very, very, very important. 8th house represents the hidden energy, Kundalini vault. So, the secret esoteric power, occult awakening is connected with this house. Now, guys, moving ahead. Now, what could be the malefic combination to handle, which you need to handle very carefully? Like, for example, if you have these combination, and then you initiated to any Kundalini chakra activation, you started working in that, and the worst is without the guidance or mentorship of a guru. So there's a high possibility that your energy might go haywalk afterwards. So which is, if you have moon and the Rahu combination, especially in the Adra, Ashlesha or the Swati, so this could lead towards the surge of the energy afterward, could lead towards the addiction, gambling tendency, addiction, and over materialism. So this could lead towards confusion, mental instability during the awakening. Venus and Rahu. Obviously, guys, you activate Kundalini with this combination in your chart. So unstable sexual energy is Swadhisthana is also unbalanced. Sun and the Rahu. Ego inflation in spiritual practices. Mars Ketu. If and again, guys, this Sun Rahu is the only reason when you come across people who become like a I always go wrong with this word, megalomaniac. I guess, yeah, I'm pronounced it right. So people who like become the leader of any cult, people who start their cult and their ego is so bloated that they just start seeing themselves as the god in itself, and just because the more disciples they get, the more their ego inflate. I mean to say, so yes, Sun Rahu, ego inflation in spiritual practices. Mars and Ketu, so if unmanaged, premature, uncontrolled Kundalini spikes can also happen. Now, guys, planetary transit can also activate the Kundalini as well. So one such combination is whenever Saturn transit over the Lagna, over the 12th house, over the 8th house. So that means Saturn is transiting right now in the Pisces. So that means for the Pisces Lagna right now, for the Aries Lagna right now, and also for the Leo Lagna right now, this is the time when we can say that activation of Kundalini can happen. So major karmic clearing phase. Again, for a less evolved person, Saturn transiting from the first house, 12th house, 8th house is a time of the suffering in the material realm. But the same suffering in the material realm is also a blessing in the spiritual realm as well. Major karmic clearing phase. Now the Jupiter and the Ketu conjunction. So yes, guys, right now in the transit when I'm recording this video, Mars and Ketu are conjunct. But when Jupiter and Ketu get conjunct, so it's a time of the high spiritual activation. And if this Jupiter and Ketu conjunction is happening in certain important houses in your chart, like first house, fifth house, eighth house, 12th house, so it can speed up the process. Rahu Ketu moving over the moon or the Lagna. So, oh my god, in my case, a lot is getting eligible. So, Saturn is transiting over my 12th house, Rahu is transiting over my moon. So, yeah, I guess that is the only reason I'm making this video. So, yeah, guys, Rahu and Ketu moving over your moon or the Lagna. So, sudden spiritual breakthroughs, eclipses involving 5th, 8th, or the 12th, or the Lagna axis, hidden forces surfacing. It generally, that is the only reason, guys, Rahu and Ketu's transit shift is very important because then in that 1.5 year, the eclipse happened in that axis in those zodiac signs. Now, guys, and the last is Mars Ketu conjunction with supportive 5th and the 8th Lord. So sudden energy surges often requiring the guidance. So yes, Mars Ketu right now, guys, Mars and Ketu are conjunct right now in the transit in the Leo sign. And let's say, for example, in your case, if you are a Aries Lagna, or so I mean to say, if you are a Aries Lagna, it is happening right now in the 5th house. So that means you are somehow on the line. You are somehow eligible for this. Now, guys, moving ahead. Now, nakshatras. The role of the nakshatra is especially linked to the Kundalini path. We know this thing. We have already read about that Kundalini start from the root chakra, from the Muladhara, then Swadhisthana, then Manipura, then Anahata, then Vishuddha, then it goes to the Ajna, and then it reaches the peak of the Sahasrara. So, in terms of the nakshatra, we can connect with that Ashwini. is the beginning of anything. So initiation of the pranic healing. Mula, it's the root of the spiritual destruction and the rebirth. Purbhadrapada, deep occult knowledge. Magha, ancestor connection, past life karmas. This might be something which you have been doing from the past, which will get suddenly activated. Rohini, creative potential, divine feminine. The beauty of the Rohini is that if it gets activated, even in terms of the Kundalini as well, these are those people who, after the Kundalini activation, they become creative like marvel. They become very genius. The manifestation of their artwork, of their art, somehow becomes highly like commendable. Adra, so intense spiritual storm. So yeah, with Adra it's the most difficult. Okay, I don't have any norms to say this thing, that out of all the nakshatras, with the Adra and the Mula, the spiritual churning happens with a like a storm kind of situation and experiences. So unless and until, like, if they have any spiritual guidance in their life, um, that person knows how to direct their energies and give it a right direction. Otherwise like filled with, they are the ocean of the emotion. They have so much of the emotion. It's just like that, the first half of the life, or if not utilized well, if not given proper mentorship or guidance, this energy can go haywire. Because personally speaking, I've seen lot many Adra. They are very loyal, they are very emotional, they are very passionate, they are very dedicated. It's just like that, when that storm is happening, they become chaotic. And yeah, these are the ones who could be bully, who could be the gangster, who could be the mafia head, because they are very, their personality is very formidable, so which can actually create an awe of someone. I do not know, like somehow based on the Desh Kal Patra, I've seen Adra people, even like Adra not being in the ascendant, being in the moon, but these people tend to remain very big and bulky, like the way I mentioned, formidable personality. But deep inside, they are the ocean of the emotions. So much emotion, so much care. Pushya, Saturn, so steady spiritual discipline, and the Revati, Mercury, like final liberation path. Now, guys, Dasha system and the chakra activation. This also becomes very important to know. So when you are in the dasha of the Mars, so somehow it has got this potential to activate your Mooladhara, which means the spiritual event. What will happen? The root energy activation, physical discipline, survival testing. So if Mooladhara gets activated, if you are out of the cycle of the fear, of the survival, a lot of the things can be manifested. Now, guys, in the dasha of the Venus, we say that the chakra which gets activated is the Swadhisthana. So, the spiritual event could be the emotional and sensual purification, creative expansion. In certain times, it has also been seen that if this is what where your whole energy is concentrated. So, like the way with people like Osho and all, so they never said that you have to refrain from these sensual gratification. They always highlighted, like a lot of the spiritual seer, they highlighted that do it in such a scale that afterward it stopped distracting you. There have been that very famous saying that there was one seer in Russia. So what he used to do is that whomsoever used to come to him, he used to make them finish a complete bottle of the wine, a bottle of the alcohol, so that afterwards he used to test that can they handle that energy, can they still restrain, do they have any restraint over their senses or not. So that is what I'm trying to say over here, that gurus like Osho and all, they did not advocated the refrainment or celibacy of things. In lot many occasions they have advocated that do it to an extent that it becomes a less of the priority for you. So that is what I'm trying to say, that it purify your sensual botheration, emotional botheration. And in certain cases, if in the dasha of the Venus, if the person is very spiritually aligned, the kundalini and the chakra gets activated, you will see if this person is an artist, the level of the art afterwards which this person will start creating, generating, it will be next level. uh, Now, guys, when we talk about the sun, the Surya Dasha. So the chakra which gets activated is the Manipura chakra. So the spiritual outcome of that, confidence building, ego purification, personal power alignment. Afterward, guys, it's the moon dasha. So in the moon dasha, we can say that it activates your Anahita chakra. So the byproduct of that is emotional healing, unconditional love, heart opening experiences. In the dasha of the Mercury, it has got this potential for the activation of the Vishuddhi chakra. The spiritual event could be people who tend to have that gift of the gab. Again, guys, we say that for certain people, a time period came of that guy where everywhere, wheresoever you go, you will see that person. So all of that happens because of uh, your Vishuddhi chakra got activated, and in the Mercury dasha, there's a high potential for that. So communication, gifts, speech, picking up many languages, purification like speech purification, inner truth, articulation. Now, guys, in the dasha of the planet Jupiter, the chakra which gets activated is the Ajna chakra. Now, the spiritual outcome of that, intuitive expansion, guru encounters, spiritual teachings. So now Ajna, guys, is a very important. Like Ajna chakra is very important in the Ajna chakra activation. After that, we say that you come across people who are very elevated, like they, for example, like with certain people, they tend to remain very lucky, that in their lifespan they got that chance to be mentored, be nurtured by important people, and they're like those people who all the time they get manipulated, they get misguided. So all of that is dependent on in which level your Ajna chakra or energy or consciousness is reverberating in the Ajna chakra. A lot of that is dependent on the Ajna chakra. So yes, if it gets activated, intuitive expansion, guru encounter, and the spiritual teachings. Now, guys, in the dasha of the planet Saturn, now it becomes very important to understand that the entire system gets activated in the dasha of the Saturn. Yeah, obviously, discipline is needed. So we say that the spiritual event of that is karmic test, surrender, long term stability for the Kundalini rise. So that is the only reason, guys. Like Saturn has got that Stambhan Shakti, power to block, because it wants you to perfect things, and it also wants you to be accountable, pay the dues which have been there attached to your Akashic record, to your soul. So only after you have passed that test, then the further growth and the development starts happening. And again, guys, in terms of the Saturn, Saturn has got a say over the complete axis, entire system. That is the only reason when it comes down to spirituality, Saturn is the prime planet for that. And guys, Rahu. Oh my god, Rahu and Ketu plays a very, very important role. I always say this thing that Rahu and Ketu are like the planets of the destiny, and especially that part which is unavoidable, unaltered, something with which you are born with. And we say that even the manifestation happens in very unusual kind of circumstances. And yes, for the Rahu and Ketu activation, we still have to wait for the second half of the life. Like these are those people, like after 42, their life actually catapult. They actually take off. A lot of the hidden talents which are lying dormant suddenly comes on the surface. So yeah, that is the kind of power which Rahu and Ketu holds. So the chakra activation with Rahu and Ketu, it's the Ajna and the Sahasrar. And again, guys, like the way I mentioned, why I gave that example of the Lord Hanuman and the Bali story and all these kind of stories, because sometimes if it gets activated at the wrong time, and again, that is why I say, if you're a very spiritual person, if you are like, and if you have the knowledge of the astrology as well, you don't stay restless, that trying to get something before the time when it is premature and all, like the way we say that what happens in the tree, that when the fruit gets ripe, tree automatically drops it. So that is what I'm trying to say, that in terms of the Rahu energy, the impatience is your worst nemesis. So you have to be ready, that the character building, God and the universe has given your timelines in terms of the dasha, with proper thought in it, that okay, in this dasha you have to struggle, in this dasha you have to learn, in this dasha you have to build up, and in this dasha you have to reap. So only if you know to extract happiness and be contented in every environment, you are working in cahoots, you're working in synchronicity with the nature. Otherwise, if you're like all the time haggling, being restless, When you are single, you are complaining. When you got married, then you are also complaining. When you get separated, then also you are complaining. Then astrology and spirituality is not for you. So yeah, Arjuna and the Sahasrara, spiritual event, intense desire, confusion, astral experiences, and the ego test. This happens in the Dasha of the Rahu. So, in the Dasha of the Rahu, the potential it has to activate which chakra is the both the Ajna chakra and the Sahasrara chakra, and what is the outcome of that in its Dasha if it gets activated. So, intense desire, in certain cases, for the less evolved people, confusion, astral experiences can also happen beyond any doubt, and the ego test. And guys, for the Ketu, when you are in the Ketu Dasha, so the chakra which gets activated is the Sahasrara, potential of that, the crown chakra. There's that very famous movie you need to watch. I guess it was Lucy. So yeah, it was like, yeah, once your that Sahasrar gets activated, then you are on the next level. So then nothing matters. Like I'm one with everything. I am one with everything. Then it hardly matters. That's what the beauty of the Sahasrara chakra is. So, the spiritual event could be the sudden detachment, mystical experiences, possible enlightenment kind of flashes. It generally happens when your crown chakra, your Sahasrara chakra gets activated. Now, guys, if I have made certain more slides, yeah. Okay, this slide also. Yeah, okay. So, Kundalini awakening contributors. So, what could be the contributors? So, now, guys, we have reached a stage where we are like summarizing everything. So the eighth house, it is like it acts as a hidden energy vault. So the spiritual event, what matters is that if you are an astrologer, study that who is the eighth lord. Is it strong, exalted, aspected by Ketu, Jupiter, or Saturn? So if it is, then that means you have that power to access that hidden energy vault. Otherwise, or what I can say, that your energy will lie dormant. You are born with a gift. The God Almighty sends you, the God Almighty send you in this world, in this universe with a gift, but you are not able to unravel it. You are not able to unwrap it. It just lie dormant and you finished your time on the earth. So that is what I'm trying to say. So for this hidden energy vault access, the planet which becomes your eighth lord, its strength and aspect of the Ketu, Jupiter, Saturn will play a key role. Then comes the 12th house. So 12th house is the house of the moksha. It is the house of the liberation, moksha pathway. The spiritual event, so planets here indicate spiritual withdrawal tendency. So the planets in the 12th house indicate the spiritual withdrawal kind of tendency, which if utilized well can actually lead towards the spiritual elevation. Now, guys, when we talk about the moon, so moon which represents the emotional balance. So if afflicted, Rahu, Ketu, Saturn aspects, potential for unstable awakening. So again, guys, yeah, that is the only reason I mentioned this thing, that uh, people who I guess I forgot that name. He There has been lot many movies which has been made in the name of that serial killer as well. So that's what he used to do. He became like a kind of a cult leader, and he used to pass away the drugs to people in the form of the sacrosanct and the prasad, and people used to have that kind of experiences which he used, that psychedelic experiences, and he used to say that, okay, I gave you that experience of that kundalini activation and all. So that is what I'm trying to say. If moon is going to be afflicted, people who try to seek that spiritual ecstasy and that spiritual highs through the use of the intoxicants, through the use of the marijuana, weed, mushroom, all of that. So yeah, and again, even if either so you use these things as a medium, and even after generation of that energy you're not able to handle it well, then it happens in the form of the overindulgence in things, addiction, ego inflation. It happens like that. So unstable awakening and the management of that. Jupiter's role. Now, Jupiter plays a very important role. Jupiter's dignity and the house placement shows wisdom capacity to handle the higher energy. Now, guys, Saturn's position. Now, Saturn's position is also very important. Saturn show the long-term preparation, karmic cleansing capacity. Atmakaraka, the soul significator. So, the planet holding the highest degree, Atmakaraka, shows where the spiritual mastery must be attained. The nakshatra analysis, we already studied that. Nakshatra of the moon, Lagna, and the Rahu Ketu are highly important for the type of Kundalini experience. Again, guys, in my case, I again give you my experience. Why? It was nowhere in my mind, in my to-do list, that a day will come when I will start talking about spirituality. Though I come from a background where my father, like the Havan, the fire ritual happens from like so many decades uninterrupted. It's like a niyam which happens. So I come from a very religious background, but even after that, what drove me and what is supporting me in this path is my moon nakshatra is Sadbhisha, healing. My Lagan is in the Ashwini, again healing physician. My Rahu is in the Ashwini, in the Ketu's nakshatra, and Ketu's in the Rahu's nakshatra and the Swati, and all the planets are in between. So I mean to say, yeah, that is the only reason. No matter whether I want it or don't want it, I like it or don't like it, this is the direction which my life always puts me in, because I have that ingredients in my chart. Now, guys, after that, the Kundalini awakening stage, we almost reached the end of the presentation. So, yeah, the stage one is astrology trigger. So, Saturn Sadesati or the 8th house activation. So, yeah, generally it happens, and nothing could be better than that if they both happen at the same time. For example, your 8th Dasha started, and right at that time, your Saturn Sadesati also begin. So these are those times when people like come across, like it happened in my case as well. I was in a corporate, I was in advertising, and now immediate after that, coming from a secured background, a middle class family, I gotten into astrology, and everyone like was ridiculing me for my decision, that will you be able to sustain yourself being in astrology. And see, it's the astrology only, and ever since I started doing that, the YouTube happened, coming to Canada happened, settlement in Canada happened, all of that because of this. So I mean to say, yes, Saturn Sardasati or the 8th house activation is always the stage 1 for the karmic cleansing. Stage 2 is the Rahu Ketu transit over the moon or the Lagna. Intense spiritual search begins. Now, guys, you would be understanding this thing, that why we say this thing, that the Rahu Ketu return, Saturn Saraswati 8th house activation is considered as a very important time. Again, guys, these planets or involved entities, they give you suffering in the material world, but what they give you, it sticks to your soul, and it's like transcendental, it goes to many lifetimes with you. But the things which you get and the comfort which you get from other planets, it might be nurturing you, taking care of you in this world, but nothing goes beyond this realm. That is what the beauty of the malefic planets, and comparing it with the other benefic planets. Now, guys, the stage 3 is Jupiter's strong transit. It's like the guru's blessing comes to you, the real guru initiation. It's a very auspicious time right now because Jupiter is in the Gemini, and it's giving its aspect to the Sagittarius sign, and Saturn is also giving its aspect. So, yes, for those people who very seriously want to pursue it, like if you have that in your to do list for this year, that you are planning to join some Vipassana, join some guru, travel to India, or this could be Thailand or any place where you can get that guidance from a guru, enrollment to an ashram, and sincerely seeking something. So, this is a very good year for that, amidst all that war which is happening in the world. Now, the stage 4 is, guys, the Ketu Dasha, the strong 12th house period. So, ego dissolves, glimpses of the Samadhi happens in this time period. Now, guys, remedies for each chakra. So now, yes, that is the last phase of our discussion. So for the Mooladhara chakra, guys, we say that the mantra is the Om Gam Ganpate Namaha. The elemental healing is the earth meditation. Earthing is very important. If not anymore, at least spend some time in the morning hours, like walking barefoot. This could be on the beach, this could be on a grassy surface and all, but yeah, earth meditation. Like, see, the thing is, when I talk about the earth meditation, there are like different techniques and approach for that. I just gave a random kind of thing. The deity, the gods connected with the Mooladhara is the Lord Ganesha and the Lord Hanuman. The beach mantra is the Lam. Then comes the Swadhisthana chakra, guys. So Om Shukrai Namaha, the water ritual. deity is the Kamdeva, and the beach mantra is the Vam. Manipura Chakra, Om Suryaya Namaha, fire ritual, doing the Havan, sun gazing, Surya Narayan, and the beach mantra is the Ram. For the Anahita Chakra, so the mantra is the Om Chandrai Namaha. Um, Elemental healing is, it has got more to do with the emotional healing, emotions, feelings, plays a very important role. And the deity is the Shiva and the Parvati. Again, guys, I have actually, there was a time when I was like living in India, I have that provision of doing the Havan, undertaking the pilgrimage and doing my daily sadhana mantras, visiting the Shiva temple with all the bilva patra and all. So I mean to say, no matter other things which you will get when you will seek refuge in the worship of the Shiva, that is for sure. But one thing is, peace will come. If your main concern is of the overpour, like outpour of too much of the emotions and feelings, feeling restless, insecure, seek refuge in the worship of the Shiva. Surrender yourself completely to the Shiva, and you will see how your life will turn around. How every emotional needs of yours will be well taken care of. Now, guys, the Vishuddha. So the mantra is the Om Buddhaya Namah, the sound healing and the Kirtan, and the deity is the goddess Saraswati. Beej mantra is the Hum. The Ajna Chakra, Om Guruve Namah, silent meditation is very important. Deity is like a lot of the books say and connect Dakshina Murti with it. Beej mantra is the Om. And the Sahasrara Chakra, guys. So the mantra is the Om Ketuve Namaha, because yeah, we are somehow connecting astrology. So that is what the whole this presentation is about. Elemental healing is the void meditation, and the deity is the Nirgun Brahman. The beach mantra is the silence or the Om. So yes, guys, that brought us to the end of this discussion. So you would have understood the gist that why I like made a video on this, because just because it was the theme of today, and yeah, I just wanted to like give you something which is like completely in synchronicity with the planetary transit. So amidst all that war situation which is happening in the world, so at least finding peace within and collectively praying for the global peace is something which we can do. So once again, guys, thanks a lot for watching this video.